Shut up and sit down.
Welcome to the Big Blue Offensive Podcast with Mike Trainer, Jay Jules, and John Depot. Hey, what's up, Giants fan? Welcome to the BBO NYG Podcast. I'm Mike. That's Jules. That's John. Guys, we had a big couple of days the last couple of days, man. I'm trying to monitor my Twitter feed right now because if we have some breaking news of somebody else signing, I'm going to be all over it. But I like our moves, man. What do you guys think? Obviously, everybody knows the players we signed.
I mean, I was listening to the Joe Rogan podcast, and all of a sudden my buddy calls me, and he's like, "Bro," he's like, "Did you hear?" And my friend Mark calls me. He's like, "Bro, you're here." And I was like, "What do you mean? What's going on?" He's like, "The Giants, they signed fucking Darren Waller." And I was like, and at first I was like, "Fuck, that means Daniel Bellinger is gonna get less playing time." But then it sat with me a little bit, and I was like, "Bro, if Daniel Bellinger is as good as he is, and then now we have this guy who's a legit pass catching tight end and maybe one of the best in the game, we have some fucking serious players on the outside to go along with, Saquon Barkley and everybody else." Then I started seeing the memes of like, who name a better running back tight end duo than Darren Waller and Saquon Barkley. And I was like, all right, and then this is a fucking sick move. 3rd round pick that we got for Thadk U Toney. Fuck that motherfucker. And we got two guys with the middle of the defense. It's hard not to be excited, man. It seems like whatever Joe Shane touches, it just feels right. Like it feels like it's a good move.
That's what she said.
Seems like they know what the hell they're talking about
Yeah.
once as an organization. I mean, it was a trade, obviously. I mean, to have like a 2 tight end set with those guys, especially the way Jones has been just like feeding the ball to his tight ends and the way the offense is, man, I think Waller might just shoot up the ranks and be like, maybe a Kelsey like type, like 1A, 1B. I think he might legit go back up there. And don't forget, like, I know everybody's talking about like his injury history or whatever, but a couple years ago was a hamstring, and last year he got knocked out with a knee injury on Thanksgiving. So, I mean, it's not really as drastic as people make it out to be. He didn't tear his knee up. He didn't, break his leg or anything like that. So, as long as he stays healthy, man, that's a legit weapon for the Giants to have on this offense. And I think one more is coming in a wide receiver. You could probably see that coming. That's why right now I'm trying to monitor my Twitter feed to see if anything pops up tonight.
Well, one thing you just got to keep in mind when it comes to Waller, I don't know how much of his, if you want to even say lack of production from last season in comparison to his 2019 and 2020 seasons, because that's when he was up there and he was being considered like a Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews, all these top tight ends, Kittle, all these guys. He was literally mentioned within those names, right? And then he got hurt with that. He had the nagging hamstring injuries all through 21. And then 22, it's hard to tell, right? Because Jacobs goes and has that season that he did for Vegas. They brought in Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams had a fucking Devontae Adams type season. So, it took away a lot of the targets that were going towards Waller. Hunter Renfrow was still getting his. So they had different options and different things taken away from some of his touchdowns. Because if I'm not mistaken, he still had like 69 catches or 600, 700 yards. And it was just that his TDs were way down. He had like maybe 3 or 4, something like that, where he was like, usually reaching close to double digits at every fucking turn over those 2 seasons. So it's tough to say. Hey, at the very least, it could also be that you're bringing in this guy where he could help Daniel Bellinger take that next step as well. You bring in a good veteran guy that's been up there, has been a top echelon type receiver that can come back and show and be, he turns 31, I believe, in August or September of this year. He's not that old yet. He's still got a couple more seasons in him. But, at the end of the day, he could be doing a little bit of mentorship too. It's just going to kind of bring a little bit more of that veteran leadership. I think that's part of the reason why we went out and signed Shepard again, right? Because you want that sort of veteran wide receiver presence, especially a guy that not only has the veteran wide receiver presence, but he also has the New York Giants veteran presence, right? Because we don't have much of that when you think about it, right? These guys are so young. This team is so young. We're always talking about how young the team is. We're bringing all these guys. We don't have many Giants that have been on this team for 5, 6, 7 years, right? So it's nice to have that sort of kind of guy in the locker room and being around. So I think that's what Shepard brings. So I could see Waller perhaps bringing that type of a role. And if he's healthy, listen, I don't know if he gets on the level of Travis Kelce, but being somewhere in the neighborhood of 75 catches, 900 yards, and a couple of scores, that's definitely far from million out of the realm.
He does
murderous, bro.
He does. He commands double teams too, which is saying something. Like, when do we have a guy really that other teams need to worry about besides Barkley in the run game? You're not exactly double teaming Barkley, you're just stacking the box. Now you actually have to worry about a legit weapon. Like, Jones is finally going to get a legit weapon. So if Jones starts sucking next year, if he does get a number one, because I keep reading like D-Hop maybe in a trade, or Odell Beckham coming back in a sign. If he has that,
or draft,
or the draft too with Addison, maybe. I know some people like that guy. And if that comes to fruition, like Jules, I know you like Addison. And then
this guy right here does.
If that comes to fruition, man, and then Jones doesn't perform, I'll be the first one off the Jones boat. I'm telling you, I don't think that'll happen. Obviously, that's why I'm saying it with pretty much confidence. You know what I'm saying? I think it's going to be like, you're going to see a team that can put up points and play fucking defense. Oof.
Watch out. One name you left off the list when it comes to wide receivers that's been starting to gain a little bit of traction. And I will throw out a question for you guys, but I know John had a point real fast. So John, I'm gonna let you make that point real quick, and then I'll come back to the wide receiver that's starting to make a little traction, in addition to some of the names you already mentioned.
So I was just piggybacking. I was going to just piggyback off what Mike was saying. A guy like Darren Waller just gives defensive players another guy to make sure that he's not the reason they lose the game. And you put enough of those players on the field together to go along with Daniel Jones' skill set as a quarterback, both as a passer and a thrower, that just makes the offense that much more dynamic. It opens up that much more stuff for the guys like Isaiah Hodgins, who's going to be here, Sterling Shepard, who's going to see it, Wan'Dale Robinson should be healthy. You're going to be able to elevate the floor of the team offensively speaking, and it's just a lot to worry about. There's a lot to worry about with a guy like that. For a defensive coordinator, it's just cool to see like the evolution of how this team's going to go. So I'm interested to see who this wide receivers that you're talking about.
Yeah, well, listen, I'm just going to throw out a little bit early, like an early kind of thing. Look, I don't know if this is actually going to happen. I'm not predicting it, but what would you guys be okay with this scenario, considering with the signings that we currently have had, and we'll get into the defensive side of the ball in a few moments with some of the signings we did there. Go ahead.
If this has to do with getting rid of Saquon Barkley, I'm going to tell you.
No, stop that. All right, relax. Come on. So now, so we, like I said, we're focusing on some of the defensive signings because you can almost take linebacker out of the equation after some of the signings that we did the other day, right? Now you say we went out, we got Waller, so tight end. I don't know if we're going to grab any of these tight ends in the first round right there. That doesn't seem probable. So would you be willing to, guys, knowing that you now can either get best available player with the first round pick and or one of these top corners, because this is a deep corner league, and we definitely know we need another corner, at least for 2023 and going forward. Would you give up a second round pick and bring in Jerry Jeudy as the wide receiver? And now you go out and you get that defensive player. Now you got Jeudy with Shepard, Slayton, Wan'Dale Robinson will be back, Waller. I mean, dude, that sounds like a heck of a fucking receiving core right there. I'm not saying it's top three, but man, that's a hell of a lot better than it looked in 2022. What are your thoughts, guys?
All right, John, let me go first. I would in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat, I would take Jerry Jeudy. First off, he's a stud. He can fuck a ball. In a fucking shitty year offensively,
he can fuck a ball.
He's still my man. I'll edit that part out probably. But my man put up numbers, right? He put up fucking solid numbers, and he still got that connection with Dable going back to his college days. So that's something right there. So man, you gotta if that's an option to just get rid of a number 2 pick, I would do that.
Second round pick. But
yeah, number 2. Yeah, second round pick, obviously, definitely.
So the whole point of draft picks is to be able. They're like scratch offs in a sense. They're raffle tickets. You're hoping that this $5 scratch off turns into $100 winnings. Like that's maybe even more than that, but you get the point. Like you understand that a 6th round pick, the chances of it outperforming your 1st round pick is not something that is going to happen very often during your career as a general manager. So if they feel like Jerry Jeudy is the right guy to bring into this locker room and add to this team, and all we have to do is give up a 2nd pick for it, that'll guarantee 2, 3, 4 years of top 14, top 15 wide receiver production to go along with all the other weapons in this team. I don't know how you say no to that. I just don't like the fairy tale of what could be. What if that second round pick turns into a complete bust, and you could have had Jerry Jeudy? Like, you know, maybe the potential isn't, you know, top one wide receiver, but the reality is with the second round pick, you're not going to get a top one wide receiver anyways. That would be just a stroke of luck if that ended up happening. That means that not only did the other 31 teams pass on the guy, likely you did too, because if you made your first round pick, means you passed on this guy to begin with. So it just happened to be that he turned into this, you know, top flight, you know, a super elite fucking wide receiver. So you could take that and you can get somebody who is very, very good. Guarantee yourself production where there's no question mark. I don't see how, with what this team looks like and what its potential could be for next year and the year after, I don't see how you don't say, you know what, for a second round pick, one of them, let's just fucking get somebody in here. Let's get this done.
Well, let's not diminish the second round pick, because second round picks are still quality. They're still very, very high quality. McKinney, Ojulari, just for examples off the Giants team. Brandon Ayuk was a second round pick for the San Francisco 49ers. That's the name that's been swirling around as well as a wide receiver to trade for. So I'm just bringing out some names there. There are still
the problem with that is you're talking about the top 3 or 4 second round picks in the last handful of years, not mentioning the infinite amount of names that were second round picks that aren't even in the league anymore.
Well, you can say the same for first, but what
of course,
you do
that's the point, is that's why it's a scratch off. You win some, you
right.
lose some, you lose most.
Right.
So if you win some and you lose most, and this will turn into an automatic, you might as well say, I'll take the automatic, even though it's ceiling maybe not as high. Maybe it's an A- ceiling when an A+ ceiling could be your second round pick. But what's the percentage chance that you get the A+? Whereas if you guarantee yourself the A-, I just don't know how to go wrong.
Right.
Jules, what would you take? You would take that deal?
So I would. I think I would, actually. Just seeing what the Giants have done at this point in the season with the free agent signings on both offense and defense at this point in time, if I'm going to get a second round pick, because I'll be honest with you guys, just with all the bullshit that Odell has gone through over the last couple of months, him shopping and looking like he was going to be a savior for certain playoff teams towards the end of last season, and then the whole airline fiasco, and then all of a sudden he's making videos with his shirt off and he's running and still doing the one-handed grabs. You know what? I think that whole Rams humbling thing is a bullshit facade. All right. He went to a team that had a bunch of superstars mid-season that were in poised for going to the Super Bowl. Okay. And he fit in with that team, right? Because Jalen Ramsey wasn't putting up with that bullshit. Matthew Stafford wasn't putting up with that bullshit. Now, when you're coming on that team, Von Miller ain't putting up with that bullshit. They had the right guys in place to keep Odell in check. And that's why he looked humble when he was fucking over there, over on the Rams. So for me, he's out of the picture. Right now, DeAndre Hopkins, I love that guy. I remember seeing him. I was fortunate enough to catch the Orange Bowl when they played West Virginia, and it was supposed to be Sammy Watkins was supposed to be the star of the show. And this fucking dude, DeAndre Hopkins, took that game over and was just a fucking stud. And I remember sitting there with my brother being like, who the fuck is this guy? And we were like Googling him, looking him up and shit. Like, I remember from college. And then he hit the NFL and he hit the ground running, and you could see who was a better wide receiver on that Clemson team between him and Sammy Watkins, right? So I love D-Hop. I get a little worried, though, when I start to see these wide receivers get past the age of 30, even though that's not old, but when they have a little bit of an injury bug here and there, or an injury or two, you see them drop off, man. Julio Jones. I mean, shit, that dude was amazing, and you saw him drop off, right? I mean, dude, I can go on and on and on with the list of these wide receivers that seem to drop off a little bit when this starts to happen. So it concerns me. Now, look, if you're telling me that we could have used this third-round pick that we used on Waller to get D-Hop, I would have done it, right? But to say that I'm going to give up a second-round pick for him at his age makes me concerned. Now you flip to Jerry Jeudy. I love the guy. Young still. I loved him in fucking college. I thought he was going to be the best one of that draft. When he fell to the Broncos, I was going crazy. I couldn't fucking believe that he fell that fucking far. But he just had a little bit of issues. Now, let's say, I got to give him a pass on his rookie year. He had no fucking quarterback, right? You could say that he could say that for most of his career, but he did get kind of hurt in year 2. And then last year, I don't know what the fuck happened with Russell Wilson, but he still had his best year of his pro career, and he was frustrated. So now you got a guy that was supposed to be arguably the number 1 wide receiver coming in that draft with a chip on his shoulder, and you're telling me that I could get him for a second-round pick, knowing that we have lined up our offense, and now it's either we're going to get one of these top premier corners, or a solid top interior lineman with the first round pick, I'm on board with this all fucking day. And I think it kind of solves up the offense and really completes it.
Well, there's 10. We still have like 10 draft picks, right? I mean, if that's the case, so
we gave up one already. So
yeah, so now it's down to 10. I don't think we could use all of them. So they still got another deal in them because I don't think they're drafting 10 people and keeping 10 people. But I tell you, the getting back to like Odell Beckham, I mean, the free agent wide receivers and Jacoby Myers was the best one. He was the stud of this year's draft. What do he go for like 11 million a year? So these guys aren't getting paid. Last night I predicted that Odell would get 3 years, 36 million. I'm going to stick by that. But yeah, just the fact that these guys aren't getting that big money, the wide receiver. Remember, everybody's like, oh, it's a passing league. All of a sudden, these guys ain't getting paid, man. Now it's fucking the linebackers. It's the trenches. Those are the guys getting paid now. It's funny how that like works. Quarterbacks always. But Jones still like 160 ain't fucking bad, man. Now that story came out that he really wanted 47 and the Giants offered 35, so they kind of met in the middle, but whatever. But I tell you, the way these wide receivers are, not making that big of a money, and D-Hop saying he's making like 16 million, I think, for the next 2 years, right? So, and he wants a new contract. That was the part of the stipulation. I don't think he's going to be able to get a new contract if he gets traded because his numbers aren't like really adding up for these guys that are signing this year.
And don't forget, you left out one because now all Jet fans think that, they're definitely getting Aaron Rodgers because Alan Lazard signed for about $11 million a season with the New York Jets earlier today as well. So, yeah, I mean, that seems to be the market for these type of wide receivers. Again, these guys weren't number one stud type receivers, but they were respectively and arguably they're ones on their team. And they're getting $11 million per season. So, just that kind of sets the bar, if you would, for what is expected for these guys this year.
Imagine Aaron Rodgers went to the Jets. That would be fucking a wild thing. That would be the second time that they had a Hall of Fame quarterback leave and go out to pasture in fucking green. And Jets green.
He's funny. He's just giving his guys his friends jobs, and then after everybody signed, he's gonna be like, "Nah, I'm retiring. I'm going back in the fucking. I'm going
to the Patriots."
He's like do Brett Favre 2.0, bro. Brett Favre 2.0, dude. Like, go look at what Brett Favre did to the Jets. Aaron Rodgers is basically doing the same shit. I don't know, like 10, 15 years later, whatever it is.
Why does he want to go back?
Your Cousins. That means he's going to fucking Minnesota next. So
why does Rodgers want to go back to the pit of darkness? He's just going to sign with the Jets. He's just going to go back in fucking hell.
Well, I know Jet fans are getting pumped right now. They're like, bro, we just signed Alan Lazard. That means he's coming, dude. I'm like, no, it doesn't. That doesn't mean shit. So,
I mean,
the Giants could pull off a trade like that.
We're going to find out at 1 o'clock.
It's not like that was Devontae Adams from a couple of seasons ago, where all of a sudden Devontae Adams went to the Jets, and it's like, oh shit, Aaron Rodgers is gonna follow him to the Jets too. It's fucking Alan Lazard. I'm just saying.
Did you see the Twitter thing with Jahad Ward on the Giants and shit? He's fucking into that social media shit. Josh Jacobs was like, "Damn, for real," and then fucking what's his name? Jahad Ward kind of replied to him on Twitter. He sent to me like a little video. He's like, because we got fucking Darren Waller. That's what he was pissed about leaving Vegas. And Jahad Ward's like, you'll be all right. I mean, I can't say the other word he added to the end of the thing in the clip, but he's like, you all right. And then like that, and people just laughing at that motherfucker because we stole him. We fucking stole Waller for a fucking third round pick, like a Toney draft pick. It was Toney for Waller. Fucking fantastic.
So the one thing about that, and if it was a different organization, I might feel even stronger about this, or I should say strong about this. But the fact that they are giving him up for what, most people would say is a pretty favorable deal for the Giants. Maybe they know something about him physically that they say like it's worth taking what we can get right now, and because he's got really nothing left in the tank. So there's always that possibility, obviously, but I sure hope that he's got. We don't need him to be good 5 years from now. We need him to be good this season and maybe next season. After that, that's all we need out of him. We need 30 games.
Well, John, it's only after this year. They could just cut him, and they're not reliable for anything. He's signed to 2026, but all the money after this year, it's not. It's all fucking non-guaranteed and nothing. There's no cap it, no nothing. So if you don't pan out, so we got him. we got him as a free player, pretty much. If he does something, great. If he doesn't, they can move on. But yeah, I don't think he's done or washed up. I don't think that's happening.
Give us a dozen or so in the regular season, and then 4 in the playoffs. That's all I need from you.
Okay, I'll take that in a second.
4 in the playoffs means we're going to the Super Bowl. Just
give me it.
Anybody can catch that math really quick.
Shit.
No, listen, it's going to be interesting to see how the rest of the offensive moves play out for the next month or so up until the draft, right? I honestly don't think
the draft is a month away.
I don't know. I don't think we make a big free agent signing splash with a wide receiver. That's why I said that Jerry Jeudy would trade. Odell, I think, is just a fantasy. Let him go somewhere else, in my opinion.
That's Cowboy shit right there.
On this team. You know what? You want to talk about injury history? He is definitely one that fucking has an injury bug to him as well. So I'm over that shit, man. But one other thing I wanted to kind of throw out there is that, listen, you always got to keep your eye on the other teams, right? So there was a couple of signings, and this is why we could probably segue into some of the defensive signings that we made. The Eagles did re-sign James Bradbury to basically almost fucking $15 million a year for 4 years or some shit like that, which I think is just fucking outrageously crazy. The guy had a really good year on a loaded defense that has lost some key players where he had to play cornerback 2 the entire time. He signed a cornerback 2 to a $15 million deal. I think that's a little crazy. But
they gave him 4 years.
Yeah. I don't know how many is guaranteed. I didn't look at that part of it, but it was 4 years, around $15 million, about $60 million. I think.
Bro, that's
maybe 21 of it is guaranteed or something like that. But where it's like a season and a half or some shit. But yeah, dude, I just think that it was ridiculous that they even went out and signed with that much. But the other thing that caught my eye was that the Cowboys were able to trade with the Colts and get Gilmore for a 5th round pick. Now you sit there, you say, okay, it might be a little old. He might have lost a step here and there, but he's only 31. And it would have been interesting to see if we would have been able to pull that trade off since we had gotten the deal with Waller. That would have meant that we would have literally traded Toney for Stephon Gilmore and fucking Darren Waller. That would have been fucking pretty good, man, when you look at it that way, the flip side of shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I looked at that and I was kind of like,
executive of the year moves right there. That's executive of the year moves right there for sure.
Definitely. So I thought that might be of interest. I just wanted to kind of swing that to you guys. But listen, man, the big one last offensive signing that we didn't mention is we are bringing back Matt Breida. All right.
Yeah. There we go.
Cheetah.
Yeah. I know he's kind of grown and been a little bit of fan favorite. He's a good, reliable back that you can trust. He doesn't turn the ball over and get those hard yards and downs and, give a rest to Barkley. So he's a great key, spell guy, if you would. That's fine. And I'm still not ruling out that we don't draft a running back. Got to keep that in mind as well.
It's always possible late round, but who cares if it's a 5th round pick, 6th round pick? I mean, who really cares? You're gonna have Saquon and him. They're gonna be getting 98% of the snaps at running back this season, provided that no one gets tremendously hurt. But Breida is the type of guy that he's not. If he was the main starting running back, you don't know that you'd be super impressed with his skill set. But he's a guy that you put out there for a quarter of the snap, something like that, to spell your starter. And not only do you feel like you're in good hands, you feel like something good can happen. Like, he's the type of player who is very capable of an explosive play. Maybe not a 72-yard scamper for a touchdown, but trying to figure out a way to get it from 2nd and 8 to a 1st down, just slipping some tackle somewhere. He's that type of player, and he's fun to watch. So having him back, knowing that running back is in really, really good hands, from 1 through 3 on the depth chart, it's a nice thing to have, and he's not getting paid much. Now, if he doesn't perform, I wonder if those same people who still to this day bring up Jonathan Stewart with Dave Gettleman signing him, if they'll feel the same way about Matt Breida if he doesn't contribute to the Giants at all. So I'm very interested to see how that works out. But I'd rather that not be the case. I'd rather him be a contributor behind Saquon Barkley for 17 games, sure.
Well, I think that's good with the offensive side of the ball. At least we got finally a legit tight end that could fucking score in the red zone. So I think Daniel Jones passing touchdowns in the red zone is going to go up tremendously now that we have somebody like that. But yeah, Jules, defensive side of the ball. If you guys want to try to pronounce one of these guys' last name, I'll just say it. It's Raheem Nunez, probably Roche. I want to say it looks like roaches to me. So I'll probably just call him Roches. So defensive tackle, he's from Tampa. He's on Tampa Bay for like 5 years or something like that for a while. Just a depth piece, nothing special. You know what I mean? But you need it because I don't think they're bringing back Ellis. So he'll be part of the rotation, run stopper, I guess. That's his like claim to fame. Not exactly a sack monster or anything like that, but hey, depth piece, we need it, right?
How do you say this linebacker's name? It's Bobby O'Keefe.
Come on, baby.
Talk to me.
Okereke?
Okereke.
Okereke. Yeah, that's got to be his name.
Okereke. I don't know. That's how I'm saying it. Bobby Okereke.
I try not to butcher people's last names as much as I can. That's a tough one.
I have too much fun with it. I think it's Okereke.
Dude, you should have tried. You should have seen me years ago trying to pronounce Humaniora. It took me 5 years to get his name right. But
okay, Okereke and Ozolari.
Okekereke's young, man. He's 26. If people don't remember him, it's been all over like social media. He's the guy that kind of like went after Daniel Jones and cheap shot him and threw him like a little in the Colt game. And you know what I'm saying? He was a third-round pick out of Stanford. His most productive year was last year, dude. He had like a career high 151 tackles. So, he's definitely
Martinez numbers, baby. That's what I'm talking about.
Reliable. He plays in every game. He drops back in coverage. He had a couple tip balls when quarterbacks were going against, D-Hop, actually. I seen a couple of, highlights out there with that. Run stopper. We need that. Hopefully, Darren Beavers comes back healthy because him and Beavers would be a nice little combo. Finally, we haven't had a linebacker in probably since fucking I mean Blake. I can't even consider him like a big time linebacker for us. I'd probably go back to Antonio Pierce to be honest with you. When's the last time we had a good linebacker in Giants?
My guess.
What the fuck?
I think Blake Martinez was a good player.
But Blake only had the 1 year. That's what I mean. Blake only had the 1 year. So at least like we're talking about somebody that's been here for a few years. I almost feel like
who made a mark on the team? Antonio Pierce is the last linebacker to make a mark on the team.
Who else? Right? Who else?
If you want to put it that way, then you're absolutely right. But
Mike, you kind of sold Okekereke short here. He actually had 131 combined tackles the year prior. So he's had back-to-back big years at 24 and 24, or 25 and 26, because I think he turns 27 this season. But still, it's a young guy. I know he's drawing comparisons to Blake Martinez, but Blake Martinez wasn't utilized in the way that we utilized him when he was in Green Bay. He was sort of like that third option because you had Matthews there, you had a few other guys. So he was kind of mixing in. So when he came and he had that big fucking season for the Giants, that's why he stood out. This kid's been doing it for a couple of seasons already. I think this is a sort of under the radar signing for the Giants. This could be sneakily pretty damn good, especially if Ojolari and everybody stays healthy up front. You know what I mean? Like, and then this guy's he had 2 interceptions prior, the season before in 2021. That's what I'm saying. Don't sell that season short. Look, he's not his job is not to get sacks. It's to stop the run, make tackles, and defend. That's it. You know what I mean? So that's what I think we signed here. And it's a good veteran player who's young as hell. Dude, I really do like this sign. We didn't get Edmonds, but that's because the Bears threw a ton of fucking money at him. And there was no way we were going to, they threw a ton of money at him. The only reason why he left Buffalo and left the state of New York is because of that, right? It is what it is there. But this kid is not bad. I know there's a couple of the names that have been circulating that we could have went for and maybe paid a little bit less. But at the end of the day, I like the signing and I'm on board with it.
So if you think back to last season, the defense we went into the year thinking the defense was going to be, not what it ended up being. The defense wasn't exceptional last year by any stretch, but when it came down to it, when it was important, they ended up standing up and making plays. But the biggest hole in the defense was the middle of the field. We thought it would be the cornerback too, but Wink Martindale figured out a way, and the players, got to give him credit, stepped up, and it was not anywhere near as big a hole as we would have thought that it would have been. So you can't even count that as it's probably the biggest need going into the season was cornerback 2. Going into the season this year is cornerback 2 on defense, but the biggest hole last year that was noticeable, the more plays got broken down, was because we didn't have that middle linebacker that could be, a better than just league average Jalen Smith. So now you are able to plug that hole right before even free agency really starts, because it starts tomorrow, Wednesday at 4 is when the league year starts. So if you're able to plug that hole right before, that's you're off to a pretty good fucking start this offseason.
All right. I think that's a wrap on the picks now. I think we could take a quick commercial break. I have no haters club, guys.
I do.
But okay, we could. All right. We can
And it's
talk.
going to be a surprise.
Whoa.
Okay, all right. We'll talk a little hater club.
I might have somebody too.
All right. So I have nobody. I've been in a good mood, so we'll come back with the haters club segment, and then we'll talk a little bit about free agents from last year that the Giants signed. I want to see if you guys remember this list. We'll go back we'll go into that as soon as we get back from the commercial break, and then we'll go into the haters club, and we'll finish this show up. We'll be right back on the BBO NYG podcast. All right, we are back on the Big Blue Offensive Podcast. I'm Mike. That's Jules. That's John. Guys, we were talking about the free agent signings. We had a few guys that we signed, that we re-signed, but I don't know if you guys remember this, but last year, it was about 10, 11 guys that we signed in free agency, coming over. I don't think it'll be that many this year because the team kind of they needed to turn over last year with a new regime. So let me just run down the list of guys that they signed that you'd be like, holy shit, I forgot he was even on the team. First one, Ricky Seals-Jones, tight end, right? Remember him?
Did he retire in spring training or something?
I think he just disappeared. He was one of them. Tyrod Taylor, he probably got hurt, couldn't make it back. Tyrod Taylor was obviously the second one. Glowinski, okay, needed the guard, right? Signed that 3-year deal, so he's back. Feliciano, center, he's probably going to get re-signed with us. He did sign that 1-year deal last year, and for those people that been living under a rock, Nick Gates, he went to Washington, which is sad. Definitely gonna miss Nick Gates. But then we signed guys like CJ Board again. Remember him to run back punts. Jamil Douglas, the guard. Matt Breida, he got that 1-year deal. Jahad Ward got the 1-year deal. Justin Ellis got the 1-year deal. He won't be back though. Robert Foster, wide receiver. He didn't really pan out. Richie James, okay. Richie James had a decent year. And
James, bitch.
And Tracy Kryler, the long snapper.
Casey Kreider. So that's, a lot of those guys aren't even on the fucking team. They aren't even on an NFL roster anymore. So people I think a lot of people make a big deal sometimes out of the weird free agent signs that we sign. We signed a guy for 1-year deal or that piece here and there. Who knows? That Roaches guy might not even fucking make the team. Yeah, you don't even know yet. We're trying to get depth. We're trying to continue to build the team. So just funny to flash that back and to see those guys that we picked up last year. You out of all the names you said, I counted. There was 4 guys who made an impact on the team. It was Glowinski, Breida, Tyrod Taylor, and what's his fucking name? The last guy that I can't even think of it.
Feliciano?
Feliciano too. Yeah, Feliciano. So less than half still of the people you mentioned were actual contributors. But that's the thing. You're expanding the roster from 55 guys and at the end of the season, and you're getting up to 95 guys. You're gonna have 40 guys. You're gonna have to sign players. It's not all going to be draft picks.
But John, it's like that. It's like that every year. It's like that every year. And then people just go back and look up history and oh, why did we sign all these guys? Why did we sign all, they love to criticize. But that's just how football works. You know what I mean? Some people go down with injuries in camp. Some people don't make the team. It's just like Shepard. We re-signed Shepard to the 1-year deal, veteran minimum, right? And listen, he might not even make the roster. Nobody knows yet. He might end up being an assistant coach down the line. Who knows without that?
They might have done that too, so he could retire as a Giant.
And to rehab.
One of those kind of things too.
And to rehab here.
Final season, and again, it's just a good veteran leadership in the locker room. So I think he makes the team, but I get what you're spitting on this one, Mike. You know what I'm saying? 100%. Look, you're right. A lot of these guys may not even make the team, might be practice squad. We don't know what their intentions. Special teams, right? How often do you really keep track of guys on special teams? Right. Especially ones that are in punt formation and just blocking shit, right? You don't. So, you know what I mean?
Right. Who the fuck is that?
A lot of that. That's why you can't make a big deal. But also keep in mind too, we're comparing 2022 to this year. And, we didn't have money. You know what I mean? We were in cap fucking hell last year, and now we're not. So, we sign our franchise quarterback. We go and we bring back a backup, running back. We go and bring in our veterans wide receiver that's been on the team his entire career. You know what I mean? You go out and you make a splash, and fine, we didn't get maybe the top 1 or 2 linebacker, but we got a top free agent linebacker that we bought in. Let's not fool ourselves. The kid has had 2 good seasons so far. We went out and made a trade for Darren Waller. We're making moves that are working right now. And look, we're, like I said, like, to me, we're right in position where you are really filling in some really good potential starters and guys that can make impacts right away with the first round, second round picks for this year's draft, which is what we've done the last few seasons. But in this case, we're looking for playmakers as opposed to, last couple of years having to put in tackles and fill in that offensive line. Although there is still a center guard from Florida that can actually fill in, and he could be that guy that could be that nasty mid-interior guy. So I just think that it just leaves us come draft day in position to really, really be able to do something. And who knows, right? Maybe it's a matter of going out and getting another veteran interior lineman and then maybe trading up in round 1 to get one of those top wide receivers, right? You know what I mean? Because there's going to be a few of those guys, and it'd be interesting to see that. So there's a lot of things that are being moved, but I do like what I'm seeing this season. And I'm not ready to sit there and say that, we have the best offense on paper or any of that kind of shit. But I think we're definitely looking better than we were last year at this time.
100%.
Oh, yeah, real quick, I got the Rangers game on in the background, and Dable's there, and he got a quick little shout out. So he did a wave. So it was Conor McGregor, just to name a few other guys that are there. But it's nice to see Dabs at the fucking Rangers game, bro. While all this fucking free agent side is going on. That's it. I like that.
That, Jules, there's another guy that I want that's available apparently from the Colts. It's Ryan Kelly, the center. Like, he's available in a trade, but he might end up getting cut. I don't think anybody's going to trade for him. If he gets cut and he's on the open market, like, I wonder how much he wants. Like, I would take him in a second. Like,
you pair him back up with Golowski too, because they played together.
That's a good point.
All of a sudden you should get that camaraderie. They know each other. They can check off a little better. That makes your interior lines that much better right there.
Right.
So and that's just from the camaraderie that they had from playing together for a couple of seasons.
Yep.
Good point.
I want to get to the haters club. I got to get this off my chest.
Oh boy! All right, let's go to the haters club. It's rare that John is like that boisterous for it. So I am curious.
Hey. All right, guys, it's that time again. Everybody's favorite segment. Hate.
Welcome all you ignorant ass bitches, critics, complainers, disgruntled rappers, and racists especially, to the 9th annual International Player Haters Ball. Oh man, hate.
All right, guys. John, you want to start off?
No, not really. I don't want to start off because I never thought I'd be sitting here in this moment having to go and say what I'm about to say. This guy is a player, obviously. Player that most of us thought was a good player, a player that definitely proved his mettle as far as being a guy you want on your team. And to see the blasphemy of what he did is gut-wrenching. And it just goes to show how you just can't trust people in life. Our boy Nick Gates is a fucking Washington Commander. And it's truly disgusting. The year before that, we had James Bradbury leave for Philadelphia, and that just felt like a backstabbing move. But at least he was a mercenary to begin with. Nick Gates was our guy. And yeah, we didn't sign him. So it's not really his fault that he had to go somewhere else. But
it hurts.
If you like the place, how are you going to go and, shack up with my neighbor, like my bitter enemy?
Probably because he's got a house.
30 other teams to go to.
No, is Nick Gates married? Is he married?
What?
Is he married?
Is he? I don't give a fuck if he's married to the president of the United States.
I have an idea if he is. If he isn't, rather.
Why, he's pussy whipped? His wife told him he's got to stay in the fucking Northeast?
No, not even that, bro. Like, don't forget, he had to spend like almost 2 weeks in the hospital in Washington, right? When he went,
he fell in love.
Maybe he met his fucking hot ass nurse, and he's like, bro, I'm gonna fucking move closer to her. Like, that's it. Right. You know what I mean?
If she's full schwab in the knob,
definitely happened.
Then I'll sanction it a little bit.
That's what I thought. That's why I didn't get mad at him.
Right. He might go in my favorite club.
Point, then we can take him out of the haters club.
Yeah.
But unless there's someone who's bruising their throat on his fucking dick, out of that fucking hospital in fucking Washington, D.C., then it's just blasphemy that you went to our rival. And
Nick
it's
Gates.
just so funny how
because that's how I said, like, yo, he kind of did it real quietly.
He might come out. He might come out
at FedEx Stadium or whatever they call that shit. And it's gonna be this nurse coming out and shit and be like, yo, I'm
He'll be the first. He'll be the first one to come out to fucking Haters Club. Like he'll be the first one to ever come out to Haters Club. That never happened before. Congrats, Gates.
Membership is revoked in the best way possible.
You gotta give him still a chance right now.
I think you're right.
Bradbury left with the middle finger up in the air. And that's where that was like a little more.
A lot of people do.
He didn't leave with no pussy.
Fucking James Bradbury left with it. Mad people leave with the fucking finger up, bro. For some reason, they get real mad when they leave the Giants. Whatever reason they end up leaving.
When Bradbury left, he didn't leave with no pussy, though. He didn't get no pussy. You know what I'm
saying? It wasn't for some hot nurse in Washington.
Like he bounced. I believe that story, though. The Nick Gates story. The Nick Gates story, man. We got
like, you know the kind of dude he is, bro. Like I could see that.
Yeah, he's slaying some people fucking wash it ass. So,
however, you do want to talk about a player that deserves to be in a haters club. I know I pick on wide receivers a lot, but I'm gonna continue to do so. Okay, it's Kadarius fucking Toney.
How'd I know?
He was tweeting out some bullshit, and he basically said something, and I'm paraphrasing. I don't have the actual tweet in front of me. But, and Mike, if you can find it, let me know. But it was something along the lines of where it was talking shit that we basically gave up that 3rd round pick for him. And now we got Darren Waller, and Darren Waller's a better receiver. And he was saying some shit. And he's also got, like, you know, his English is terrible. I don't know what the fuck his was. Bro, it's not English, okay? He can't spell. He's got all this fucking, like, it's just terrible. Anyhow, he basically said something along the lines of, yo, you can talk that shit when he gets on the field. And it's like, bro, you haven't been on the fucking field. What are you talking about? So I actually wasn't able to respond to that tweet, but he did leave his DMs open. So I dropped him a nice one where I basically said something along the lines of, I was like, bro, I don't know how you could say that about another athlete when over your NFL career, you haven't been on the field at all. I was like, yo, you're never going to live up to that 1st round pick, and you're better off just being a fucking rapper. So shut your mouth. Tony. He needs to shut the fuck up just because he had a fucking good couple of punt returns in the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
he don't make him a fucking superstar all of a sudden, right? Go be Devin Hester, motherfucker. That's all you're ever gonna be.
Devin Hester. Yeah, probably. What a fucking loser that guy is. Yeah, he was all over about fucking on Twitter.
Yeah, you want to talk about being butthurt? My man fucking Kadarius Toney was butthurt hard that we basically traded his ass for Darren Waller. Fuck off, bitch.
Giant fans must really get under his skin, I tell you that, because I've never seen anything like it before.
He seems like a lot of things that get under his skin.
Yeah, he seems like
maybe it's because he's got no eyebrows. That's just closer to the surface.
Fake gangster rapper with the alien look and no ears. I don't know what his deal is, bro. Fake gangster rap. That's all he is.
I don't. Maybe it's just because it's the Giants. Maybe it's one of those things where it's like because you only pay attention to your team, you don't really see what else goes on. But is it something that happens often with other teams too, where there's like a high school ex-girlfriend reaction from players when they leave?
I definitely have seen it. I definitely have seen it. But you know what it is too? One thing you got to keep in mind, and I don't know necessarily it's just the New York Giants. It's the New York media. Period. Stop. Right? Like, so you have all this New York media. We have tons of fucking resources and outlets. And then it's all our fan base that like to chime in as well. You know what I'm saying? So like, it's a combination of all that shit. And then it's like, yo, they do get, because I have seen Leonard Fournette. He did kind of go a little fucking, iffy when it came to when he left Jacksonville. He was going a little off before he went to Tampa. There are guys that kind of have gotten caught up in the mix with this shit. There's a couple of receivers that were a little, fucking heartbroken over shit. But for the most, like I know Devontae Adams has been tweeting out. He's been getting a little tight that Derek Carr had left because the whole reason why he went to Vegas, or one of the reasons why he went to Vegas, was that he wanted to play with his quarterback that he played with at Fresno State in college. And then now all of a sudden, a year later, and after they had pretty good success and chemistry together, his quarterback's out and he's fucking stuck in Vegas.
Is he going to go anywhere? Is he going to go? Like, is he going to demand a trade because he, fucking Carr's gone, Waller's gone? Like, you know what I mean? What
Jacobs is on a franchise tag, so they're basically renting him for one more season.
You know what I mean?
Like, and they brought in Jimmy G and fucking Jacoby Myers.
That's terrible, man. Like, what are you doing? That's an organization. They get the Raiders. Just what are they doing? That just it makes no fucking sense to do that. God, they're terrible.
So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of that been going on too. So it's interesting. But yes, I am very surprised in the fact that I'm actually not surprised. I'm more excited and happy that they've been getting under fucking Tony's skin like this, because fuck him, he deserves it. And there was too many non-Giant fans that were all like, traded Tony and look at the Super Bowl he had. I was like, yeah, we gave up fucking Devin Hester. Big fucking deal.
Yeah,
Don't
right.
suck it. See you later.
Dude, I'm still going through my Twitter feed. I haven't seen anything. So I think we just wrapped the show up. But I did catch a glimpse of I did catch a glimpse of Darren Waller running a fucking tight end screen pass in the late not this past season, because he was hurt with the knee injury and the hamstring injury season. My God, man, is that dude fucking fast and big? I forgot how good he is.
He's a big Evan Ingram that actually can play to his potential.
Yeah, dude, he's legit, bro. Like, I think Giant fans are they're gonna love this fucking guy, man.
And then, like
they're
you
gonna
said
love
earlier,
ends, man. You got two guys that you're gonna be able to play down to down that are both 6'6" monsters who could be good like really good players. Like there's no question about it. Daniel Bellinger is a good football player. He's a good tight end. He played very well in his first year, and his ceiling is only going to go. His potentials or his talent level is going to grow and grow and grow as it continues. He's going to get better for the next 3, 4, 5 years. So, and then you got Darren Waller pair up with him, bro. It's going to be solid, bro.
And also, like you mentioned earlier, Mike, he's basically a 1-year rental if we have to, right? So if something happens, if Waller fails, and we give up a 3rd round pick and he didn't work out, that's fine. We can go through a lot of 3rd round picks that didn't work out. Tons of them. You know what I'm trying to say?
70%, probably.
Right. That's what John said earlier. Most of them fail,
especially in the 3rd round. You know what I mean? And it was a pick that we got, right? Let's not forget. The whole reason why CMC is out in the West Coast is because the 49ers gave up draft picks that they had inherited from a trade. So like literally, that's smart. That just shows really smart GM work. When you literally can make a move, get rid of a player that you had no use for, get trades, and then get a player back that has the potential, when healthy, to be one of the better stars in the NFL. You can't go wrong with that, because that's been proven. He has a proven track record, and any rookie that you take in the 3rd round does not. All right, period, stop. So we also have an additional 3rd round pick. We gave up one of our 3rd round picks. Like, that's another huge key. One, we still have a 3rd round pick.
Yeah.
So it's a win-win all around, I think. And like I said earlier, I just like the way that we are moving forward. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the next couple of weeks. And it's going to definitely be interesting to see what happens in the draft. But as we know, we will keep it going, and we will keep our eye on this shit. And we're going to keep coming back with more of the Big Blue Offensive Podcast. So make sure to fucking subscribe. Make sure to listen. Make sure to drop the likes, all right? And make sure to interact with us with the commentaries. Hit Chad Powers up if you like, because he's got a lot to say, and he's always on fucking Twitter. So if you're on Twitter, hit Chad up, man. We all see what Chad be talking about when it comes to the Big Blue Offensive.
That is true.
With that said, we're going to definitely try to get some guests on. Well, we will definitely have on in between now and the end, so stay tuned for that, until the draft, I should say, because there's going to be a lot of build up to that. We just know that the last couple of weeks with all the signings that have been going on, there's just been a lot to cover, so we kind of kept it with just the BBL. But for the future, there's going to be some people coming on, some good guests, so stay tuned for that. We got a lot more in store until the fucking season starts, and like always, before you know it, the fucking season will be kicking off, and it'll be week fucking 1, all right? Until then, guys, stay good, and we'll see you guys next week.
Peace. Go Giants, and happy St. Patty's Day. Peace.